Welcome back to another episode of Stacking Dennys. I'm Jordan McAbee of RotoBaller, my co-host Nick Giffen of the Action Network. Once again, Christopher Bell in victory lane for the third time this season. The heavy favorite at New Hampshire Motor Speedway ends up victorious. A bunch of happenings in this race. Not only did this race end on rain tires, Martin Truex Jr.'s pit crew once again threw away a win. Hate to see that. Our boy Todd Gilliland finished 12th after, I know, Nick, I was rooting for your top 10 bet on him at 9-1 last week, 10-1. Chase Briscoe, Josh Berry rounding out the top three in a what should have been a relatively predictable race ended up being somewhat unpredictable because of all the weather and NASCAR deciding to get the race starting back again, going on rain tires for the longest time. Most people thought they were just going to call the race. They did end up getting it all in, get all the laps in. Kudos to them for doing that. This has opened a whole can of worms, though, as to the decisions they made on allowing teams to change tires or not, fuel the car or not. Reddick definitely benefited from NASCAR allowing him to fuel the car. You know, even his car owner, Denny Hamlin, said something about that on his podcast where he didn't understand why a team like Tyler Reddick got the advantage of being able to fuel their car when they didn't before. But Christopher Bell in victory lane once again. 63% on Jeff Gluck's poll said that this was a good race. What do you think about that?
I think it's too low. I mean, look at the 5, 6, 7 wide at New Hampshire with rain tires. Right. Drivers running the apron, drivers running the wall, and every lane in between. That was awesome. That was so cool. And that race had everything. It had passes for the lead, right? Martin Truex Jr. flat out passed Christopher Bell for the lead in the dry, and then it had varying strategies. 2 tires, 0 tires, stay out. We had a bunch of different strategies out there, and that's when I tweeted Tyler Reddick's. The first on the pitting latest strategy, and so if you got him 50-1 live, I still think that was a good bet. Even if it didn't hit, because there was a chance that rained out. There was a chance they didn't get it restarted. So I thought it was an amazing race. I thought it was awesome. People said it was boring. I was trying to figure out what part was boring because there was passing the whole race. I think it was a really good race, and I don't have anything bad to say about it at all.
You mentioned the strategies, and it was, and I honestly couldn't believe the number of teams that didn't understand that you didn't need to take 4 tires.
Yeah.
Like, unless you had an absolute shit car, you could take 2 tires and be fine. Mm-hmm. And then the whole rain tires thing, I think that showed us a lot of who can race in the rain and who can't. John Hunter Nemechek came from 2 laps down, came back to the lead lap, finished 8th. Yeah. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. ended up in the top 10 once again for the second week in a row. Ryan Preece, all the Stewart Haas cars were really good in the rain.
Yes, they were.
Chase Briscoe could have won that race. Josh Berry could have won that race. He could have won the race on slick tires. He also had a chance coming back after their issues to win the race again on wet tires. So, but ultimately, I think maybe the poll was a little bit negatively affected by Christopher Bell winning just because he was such a heavy favorite going into the week. And, both races, he led the most laps in the Cup race, but he did not have the best car. Martin Truex Jr. had the best car. I think that was very clear that Truex had the best car.
I think Denny Hamlin had a better car than Christopher Bell too, especially towards the latter half of that dry part there. Bell may have even been worse than Blaney at the very end of the dry segment. So I think Bell had maybe a 4th or 5th place car. At best a 3rd place car. And I'm not hating on anybody for betting Christopher Bell at 5-1 or plus 450, but it definitely feels like if you did, you probably got a little lucky in that one with the rain, because he was not a top 3 car or borderline top 3 car maybe. And that's not what you want when you're betting the favorite for the weekend.
Yeah. He wasn't the absolute dominator that everyone expected. And even the Xfinity race, he didn't have the best car in that race. He had the best restart late, and he ended up, he swept the weekend. You can't fault him for that. He now has 3 wins in the Cup Series this year, tying Byron, Hamlin, and Larson. But can't fault him. But it wasn't the dominating effort that we really expected, which is kind of crazy considering, like I said, he led 149 of the 305 laps, but a lot of that was track position. But still, Truex, once again, his pit crew fails him. He definitely had just a great car. Disappointing for him. Disappointing for Denny Hamlin. He had a great car that race, or not Denny Hamlin as well. But I was thinking of Ryan Blaney. I was looking at Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney had a great car that race. Michael McDowell just said, "Fuck it, I'm
wiped him out,
sending it." Took them both out. Denny Hamlin had a disappointing that race. He won stage 2. He finished 24th. Blaney was 25th. And then, the playoff bubble. Like, all the guys had trouble. Once again, Bubba Wallace had trouble. Joey Logano had trouble. Joey Logano had a great car. He could have won that race. Maybe not, like, dominated it all, but he could have stole it at the end. He was there the whole time until he had his issues. Justin Haley had a great car. He had a legitimate top 10 car, definitely in the rain, maybe on slicks. Had an issue there late, finished 29th. Bubba Wallace had issues in that race. So just a ton of happenings in a race that typically doesn't have a ton of shit happening. But
which baffles me why it was only 63% or whatever. Like, that was such a good race. That was such a good race. I mean, I'm already biased because I like New Hampshire, but that was probably one of the better New Hampshire races of all time.
And I'll tell you, like, I got my ass kicked in bets this weekend. Like, this is my worst weekend in a while. And I walked away from that like, I'm not even mad, because that was that whole package there was amazing. And it was, what's unfortunate, we'll get to this in a little bit, but the rumor is that New Hampshire is going to be getting a playoff date next year. Yeah. Homestead's coming out. Atlanta's coming out. Darlington's going in, and then Gateway's going in as well. That's a rumor. I don't think that New Hampshire deserves a playoff date. I don't think it's a very great track. But this race in particular was probably one of the best New Hampshire races in a while. And it's adding to this season of, I don't think enough people are talking about this playoff drama, this playoff cut line drama, because it is changing every single week. And all of a sudden, we look at it, Chase Briscoe's all of a sudden 25 points in, Kyle Busch is 45 points out. Hell, Josh Berry could start pointing his way in. He's only 73 behind now. Todd Gilliland's only 83 behind now. With the way that people are dropping out of races, these guys could easily make up points, and it's going to make for a great stretch here over the next couple months on the rest of the regular season. Yeah,
no, it's going to be a wild stretch. We've got 8 more races in the regular season, and then 10 playoff races. So we're halfway through the full season, the 36 points paying races after that New Hampshire race. And it's been, it's been a up and down year. There've been some stinkers of races, but then there's been some really good ones. And I think we've been on a pretty good stretch. Sonoma was a lot better than people thought going in. Iowa was really good. One of the best races, one of the best short track races, / short flat, non-intermediate package races we've had in the next gen car. And then this past race in New Hampshire was really, really good in my opinion. I still don't understand what people didn't like about that race. And I'm guessing it probably had to do with like the tire stuff after the rain, where, we'll have them stay on wets and then we'll make them change on wets. And then, maybe the controversy around the fueling. The rule is, if NASCAR goes from dry to wet or wet to dry, everybody gets to pit and fuel up. It's like a competition caution, but they red flag it. So you get to fuel up. That's why Tyler Reddick got to fuel up. It is a normal standard procedure for NASCAR going from dry to wet or wet to dry on ovals. Normal procedure. I wasn't confused why Tyler Reddick got to fill up on fuel. That is what they do every single time in all 3 series on ovals when we've gone either wet to dry or dry to wet.
And that's first off, after Darlington, after the All-Star race, we both thought, and a lot of people thought, that this stretch of races, Charlotte, Gateway, Sonoma, Iowa, New Hampshire, we're like, okay, we're going to go into that summer mode of these races probably aren't going to be that great. This has been, I think every single one of these races has exceeded expectations outside of the Coke 600 at Charlotte, just because of how disappointing that was. But Sonoma definitely exceeded expectations. Iowa did, and New Hampshire did as well. I'll just get that out there right now. But the big thing about NASCAR's decision with New Hampshire was, and I'm going to side with the side of NASCAR. I know I got called out on Twitter for licking their boots or whatever. But I'll tell you what, it was an unprecedented situation, but I think you have to handhold these teams the first time that you do it. Next time, if they handhold them next time, that's where I'm going to have an issue with it. Let them make the decisions.
100% agree.
But this was.
I will say,
guess what? We got that race restarted, and literally they were driving through massive puddles on the track, and they were still fucking racing, and people were complaining. No, we got that race restarted. It was amazing. This is what we all wanted.
Yeah, and to your point about hand-holding and stuff, I'm a little. Even then, I'm a little not so sure we shouldn't be hand-holding maybe like the rest of this season, just because Christopher Bell's crew chief, Adam Stevens, here's what he said. I would not be in favor of letting teams decide when to change to slicks. This would be too dangerous, in my opinion. At the road courses, we have huge runoffs and all the big braking zones. Virtually any place you're at a high rate of speed, you are straight line braking. You have quite a bit of distance to miss the corner. At ovals, we do not. The teams are given the option to put slicks on. We'll be forced to be aggressive and turn the race into a shit show, right? Because they're going to be, I'm no longer quoting here, they're going to be putting on slicks and then people are going to start crashing. At a road course, you generally don't lose a lap pitting under green, so you can wait until you're ready to change to slicks. But at an oval, you're not going to have that luxury. You're going to have to change right away, and you're probably going to be doing it too aggressively. So here we go with more quote. At the ovals, you'll lose a lap pitting under green, so you want to pit under caution. If the caution falls before the track is ready, someone will go for the slicks and take on way too much risk. That risk puts not only their team in danger, but all the teams around them. I think the oval math is just fundamentally different than the road course math. And remember, we're racing on ovals. We're not racing on road courses. So if teams are too aggressive, which they will be in going to slicks, instead of just spinning out and in a runoff, you could go headfirst into a wall at New Hampshire. We've had multiple drivers die at New Hampshire. Yes, that was pre-Hans and pre-safer barriers. But the way New Hampshire is angled, if you go straight in the way that turns, you could be literally heading straight into a wall if you're too aggressive with that. So I'm not so sure we're at the point where we can just say, let them go for it. I actually think hand-holding is a very good thing right now until we really have this figured out. And I'm not so sure after one oval race we have it all figured out.
Yeah, and I didn't tweet or talk anything about the hand holding that was going on because I completely agreed with it. Like that was necessary. Like I don't care if they're not letting you change.
I saw
tires
other
or
people
anything.
tweeting, not you, but other people were tweeting. Let them just do it. You can't. You just can't. We haven't done it enough, and it's too dangerous on ovals. On road courses, absolutely. Let them decide whenever. But what other series is doing this on ovals? What other series is running rain tires on ovals? None I've ever heard of. This is unprecedented territory, not just for NASCAR, but basically any professional series to race in the rain on an oval. IndyCar doesn't do it. No other major series I know of does it. So hand-holding is the best thing to do. And this is basically my whine about it. Stop complaining about it. This is way too much risk for teams to take on. And if you want to have a good event, good racing, like the racing we saw at New Hampshire on wet tires was great racing. That comes from the hand holding rather than, well, this guy put on slicks, wrecked, and just the whole rest of the race is going to be under caution.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I said, I agree. The hand holding was necessary. I didn't have a problem with it on Sunday. I don't have a problem with it the next time that they really do it. But I see both sides, where you could let them go just because you do have one race. But like you said, I mean, you listen to all the driver feedback during the actual New Hampshire race. During, I think, the second or third restart, you had multiple drivers saying there's no chance that we could put slicks on right now. And then you had half the field saying, yeah, let's put slicks on. That's such a difference. And yeah, the ultimate, the ending that's probably going to happen there is a shit show where everybody's just wrecking. And, maybe that's what people want, but that's definitely not what the teams want. That's not what NASCAR wants. I mean, we've seen that before at New Hampshire where they let people go in the rain and just turn into a shit show. So, no, I think Sunday, I fully expected at New Hampshire, I fully expected NASCAR to call the race. I didn't understand. I was frustrated because I didn't understand why they weren't just calling the race. I did not think that there was a chance that they were going to get that race restarted and go on rain tires. The fact that they did was just kudos to NASCAR. Like I said, I will criticize them till the day I die, but the fact that they got that race restarted was amazing, and the end result was awesome. That's all I can say. All I can say is positive.
And there's, just not just you, but lots of people complaining on Twitter. Well, why don't they put the rain tires and let them run in the rain? Before they got it restarted, during right after it red flagged. Well, why don't we just slap rain tires? Well, there is a policy right now where they're not going to race in the rain on ovals. They can run in the wet, but the rain needs to be stopping. It needs to be not actively falling, and it needs to not have spray because they don't have windshield wipers. They don't have defoggers or whatever. So it's not like they're at a road course where they have the wipers and the defoggers. So they can't actively have rain falling and spray coming even if the rain isn't falling. So it needs to dry enough to a point where it's just damp and it won't be spraying. And that's why. But you have NASCAR media members whining on Twitter, well, they should be racing in the rain, and then the hand holding, and it's like, oh my God, it is insufferable on Twitter. It was insufferable on Twitter.
Not to defend anybody here, but I think a big issue of that was there was no communication of, hey, we're going to try to get this race restarted. Hey, we might go to rain tires. And NBC had no idea either. They were shocked just as much as we were.
But NASCAR's always trying to get it started until they don't get it started anymore.
Well, but then you go back to the Coke 600 and everyone's still a little shell shocked from that to where they didn't want to get it restarted.
Well, they did, and then they did, and then I think Fox was just like, gotta cut it.
Exactly. So everybody has that in their heads, and darkness was coming. There's no lights in New Hampshire. That aspect of it as well. Like I said, I legitimately did not think that there was any chance that they were going to get that race.
But it's also because I had Reddick 30-1, so I knew even if I had good luck, it was going to turn into bad luck. That's how this year has gone. Even when I have good luck, it has turned into bad luck. It's unbelievable the year I've had. I knew that wasn't going to hold.
Of course.
But honestly, I like that Reddick 30-1 bet. Yeah, he was only like a 10th place car, but you're getting a 10th place car at 30-1 in a race that has the potential for rain. And not only that, we didn't know he'd be a 10th place car going in. I mean, last year he finished 6th in RCR before he's finished inside the top 10 and run inside the top 8 all day for an average running position. So, and we didn't really get any practice. Practice didn't even really count. So
no,
I was really happy to get Reddick at 30-1. I would have made that bet 100 times over, and then add in the fact that it was raining, which increases the variance, and I'm even more glad to have gotten it at 30-1. And then, I noticed right after that pit sequence where he pitted on lap 155, he was the first of all of those. And I'm like, this could fall perfectly to where the rain comes out while he's leading if he just stays out and stays out and stays out until he runs out of fuel, basically. And that's exactly what happened. So, I know a few people at least tailed me on live. I didn't live bet it because I already had the 30-1, but I know a few people who did live bet him at 40 or 50-1, which was available out there when I made that tweet. So, just didn't work out, but I would make those Reddick bets all over again.
Yeah, and I was fully I was already planning in my head what I was going to say to start out this episode, congratulating you on the Reddick hit. So that's where I was. But like I said, Christopher Bell, shifting away from New Hampshire here a little bit. Christopher Bell gets his 3rd win of the season. Some sportsbooks are agreeing with me. Is Christopher Bell the championship favorite now? Because all of a sudden he's tied for the most wins and he has the 2nd most stage wins. And he had the dominant car at Phoenix.
And yeah, he had the dominant car at Phoenix, which is what I was going to say. And the round before Phoenix sets up really well for him as well with Vegas, Homestead, and Martinsville. 3 really strong tracks for him. Because you got to assume, I can't say you got to assume because it's still tough in this series, but there's a very good chance he makes the round of 8. And with that setting up to be 3 really strong tracks for him, there's a very good chance he makes Phoenix, a very good chance. And he should probably be the favorite at Phoenix if that's the case.
I noticed, well, like after Phoenix, if you remember, I bet him 7-1 to win the championship after Phoenix, thinking, if they bring that same car, there's no chance anybody else wins. He's now down. I saw him when I was checking earlier this week, plus 450 and plus 400 at a couple books. He's right there with Larson and Hamlin there as the favorites this season. Like I said, he's got 3 wins. He's got the second most stage wins. You can't. It's so weird. Like I've always said, Christopher Bell is the weirdest Cup driver to analyze for me, because I just tweeted out or I retweeted something earlier tonight. Christopher Bell is the first driver under this new car to get 50 top 10s. Yeah. I could have listed probably 5 to 7 more drivers that I thought got to that mark before Christopher Bell. He does stuff so quietly. Like, he could easily end this regular season with 5 wins, 6 wins, and it'll be quiet as shit. And it's to me, it's just frustrating because
I will say, I don't think it's been so quiet lately. Led the most laps, won 2 stages at Charlotte. Led the most laps, won 2 stages at Gateway. Led the most laps, won a stage and the race at New Hampshire. Of course, won the Charlotte race as well. So, 3 of the last 5 races, he's been the dominant car. To be fair, at New Hampshire, I don't think he had the best car, like we said, a 3rd to 5th place car, but he still technically was the dominant car in terms of laps led and winning the stage and winning the race. But the one, slight door opening was he wasn't the best or second best, probably even car here at New Hampshire. And that is a short flat track. So some of these other drivers or teams have found something that could translate to Phoenix. And one of those drivers that was really good is our defending champion, Ryan Blaney, who we know kicks ass at Phoenix and had a great car at Phoenix earlier this year. So just because Bell, who I think rightly should be the favorite, is the favorite, doesn't mean that can't change as we get a little closer, or that he's a shoo-in, to win the championship if he makes it to Phoenix. He's definitely not.
No, absolutely not. And I didn't mean to insinuate that, but
no, I don't think you were.
That was my thinking when I bet it was, if they have that same car in the fall, I don't see how anybody touches it. But that goes to a good point that I wanted to make here. We now have 4 drivers with 3 wins this year. This next gen car was supposed to spread out and make things more equal. We're 3 years into this, and we have a heavy concentration of wins up top. We got Larson, Byron, 2 Hendrick drivers with 3 wins, and then we have 2 Gibbs drivers with 3 wins. It doesn't seem to me like, like these seasons where we get the same people winning all the time and it gets boring.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just me, but it doesn't seem like that this year, despite the fact that it is that's happening. It
feels like there's more drivers in contention rather than it being the big 3 back when it was Truex, Busch, and Harvick just running away with every race.
Yep.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
So it's I know people are going to point to that and be like, this next gen car isn't really evening things out, or this is turning into the advantage that teams had with it. I still don't see that we're getting that though, even though the wins themselves are lining up that way. We're still only 18 races into this season. We still have another 18 to go. But overall, it's interesting to see how this is all playing out. But like I said, playoff standings, we got 10 drivers locked in. Truex is plus 155 to the good. Chastain plus 93. Ty Gibbs plus 82. We can confidently say that those guys are, barring a massive letdown, they are probably in. We got Bowman plus 59, Buescher plus 50, and then we got Logano now in plus 13 because of his stage points from New Hampshire. Bubba Wallace is 13. Yes, massive. Bubba Wallace 13 below the cut line. Chase Briscoe is now 25 below the cut line, and Kyle Busch with another awful finish. I think he has 3 or 4 in a row now. 45 below the cut line. Barry minus 73. Todd Gilliland with another great finish, by the way. Shout out Todd Gilliland. That team is doing awesome right now. 83 below. And then McDowell minus 99 after his kamikaze move. speaking of McDowell, I saw a tweet that basically said that he's done this like 3 or 4 times this year. And if you would take the points that he quote unquote lost from doing those moves, the 3 or 4 times, he'd be right in the thick of the playoff if he wouldn't have been going for the wins. And one of those was Talladega, which, you know, obviously like Talladega's Talladega. So I don't think you can count that against him, but interesting to think about, you know, if he would have been playing it. But I do think McDowell, anyone below him right now is in a must win to get in. But yeah, this is once again, like we've been talking about, you know, for the last, since Cindric won, this is going to be something that we need to just watch every week because it's going to change every week. And like I said, Logano is now in, Bubba Wallace is now out, despite the fact that, you know, Bubba had a good race. Logano had a really good race. As far as finishes, you know, both of those did not have good finishes. Kyle Busch had an awful finish. And then, you know, Briscoe obviously had that top 3 finish, so that got him back into the thick of things. But overall, like this is shaping up to be a very good season, regular season, and stuff to keep an eye on, especially, you know, as always, if we get another surprise winner.
Yeah, no, I mean, this season's crazy. The playoff scenario is crazy. Those 17 or whatever it was stage points for Joey Logano is just massive, absolutely massive. Without that, right? I mean, he's pretty much right there at the cut line with Bubba Wallace. So these stage points, they matter so much. His 32nd place finish, even though it was a 32nd place finish, actually got him into the playoffs because of the stage points. Like, that's so crazy. Yeah. You can finish 32nd, but actually gain spots. Part of it was because Bubba finished even worse, but also because Logano got those extra stage points as well, and Bubba did not. And then, yeah, I mean, Alex Bowman, a bad finish. That drops him much closer to the cut line. You have Chase Briscoe with a great finish, which closes him towards the cut line. So now we've got a whole bunch of drivers that are within, you know, 80 points or so of each other, or I should say from Chase Briscoe to Chris Buescher is only 62 points apart, and they're, you know, 2 above and 2 below the cut line. So pretty wild potential close to the season we have here. And, you know, there's still a wild card race or two out there, the Chicago Street Course, you know, obviously Daytona. So certainly some wild card opportunities here for a driver outside the playoffs to still steal a win.
You mentioned Alex Bowman. You know, he had that engine failure, finished dead last, got 2 points for the race. He did finish 10th in the first stage, but that dropped into 59 and above the cut line. Meanwhile, Chris Buescher, who's right behind him, you know, definitely benefited from the rain tires there late. Ended up finishing 5th. Was about a 15th place car all day, but ended up finishing 5th there at the end. He is now, you know, right there with Alex Bowman in the points. So just a couple of noteworthy there, you know, performances. Definitely a good performance or a good finish there for Chris Buescher, a clutch performance by Buescher to get those points for his team there.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, Buescher was on – this is Buescher's best finish at New Hampshire, but it all came because of the rain. He was sitting in there 15th all day, right? But the rain tires really helped him as well, like it did a lot of those Stuart Haas guys and John Hunter Nemechek, for example. So just something to keep in mind. I think when I do flags for this race, I'm just going to do the dry flags because we're typically not racing in the wet and we're not closing in the wet. So I think I'm only going to do flags for the dry for this race. I may have like a wet flags, but it's not going to go into my season-long flags calculation because I don't think that's you know, a representation of what to expect in terms of speed for 99% of the season.
Right. I will note, this is definitely like the next time that there's a race with rain in the forecast, this is definitely a good race to go back and look at.
Absolutely. 100%.
On who was good and who was bad on road, on rain tires. And one guy that has been very good on rain tires, not only at New Hampshire, but also at, I think it was the Charlotte Roval, was Ty Dillon. You know, he was legitimately running like in the teens on those road tires, ended up finishing, or wet tires. I keep saying road tires. I don't know why. It's wet tires. But he ended up finishing 20th, which is good for that number 16 for Colleague. But he was legitimately like challenging for a top 10, as was like McDowell and some of those guys. So definitely like the next time that we have rain in the forecast, it's going to be worth going back to New Hampshire and seeing who was good on those rain tires, because there was definitely some big name drivers that weren't good on the rain tires. William Byron was not good on rain tires. Chase Elliott was not very good on rain tires. Denny Hamlin was not good on rain tires.
Yeah.
So something to keep in mind there. Speaking of Chase Elliott, God, I know I'm a little bit. I'm a little bit. This is going to be my wine about it. I'm gonna open the wine bottle right now.
There you go.
All right. I got Red's sweet rosé. I pulled that out of the fridge. Shout out to RotoBaller. Let me mark this time real quick. Shout out to RotoBaller Winery for sponsoring this podcast as always. I'm a little bit biased. I had two of my bets. My bets sucked. Absolute bloodbath of bets this past weekend. I'm not gonna lie. I've had a good season. I've had quite a bit of good luck this season. I did not have any good luck at New Hampshire. One of my bets was Brad Keselowski top 10. I thought that was basically a shoe-in. I am now fully convinced that they are testing, because how the fuck are you that bad at one of your best tracks? Yeah. Makes no sense to me. But another one of my bets was Chase Elliott, top 10 finish. With my thinking of, if qualifying gets rained out, he's on the pole. Track position means a lot. He'll be fine, which is exactly what happened. Looked good all race. And even in literally the last restart, he restarted 10th. This motherfucker does not know how to restart. He doesn't. He loses spots every restart, I swear. He dropped 10 spots on the restart, on the final restart. He went from 10th to 20th. How the fuck do you do that without someone just running into you? Which didn't happen, because I looked at the replay like 18 times. Every single time he would all those final restarts, he would be like an 8th or 9th, and he'd drop back to 15th, and I'd be like, Jesus, every fucking time. But that's my wine about it. Fucking Chase Elliott, you son of a bitch. Like that's it. Like that's my wine about it, is Chase Elliott, because fuck, I'm just irritated. I'm irritated. One, my bets didn't hit, but like once I knew my bets weren't going to hit, then I'm like, I'm rooting for Nick's bets to hit. Not only, Reddick to win, which, wasn't going to come true after the rain tires came in. It was pretty obvious because Reddick fell back a little bit. But I was like, yeah, Todd Gilliland, he's right there for a top 10. I'm going to root for that. I want to see Nick have a good day. What does he do? Restarts 8th and finishes 12th. Like, I
know. There was a lot of bad luck in this race for me, and a lot of bad luck this whole season for me. So it's fine. Chase Elliott, he started on pole. He probably had like a 6th place, 7th place car, 8th place maybe. Wasn't amazing, but then it just went to shit in all those restarts, like you said. Wasn't there another driver? There another driver you were talking about that was having really bad restarts? I think I saw you tweet something about it. You're like, he might be worse than Chase Elliott on restarts or something. I felt like you tweeted.
I forget who it was.
That up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, I don't remember, but
Chase, I've always been bad on Chase. Like Chase, like I swear for the last 3 years, he's just not good at restarts. It's when he maintains position on restarts, it amazes me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's frustrating.
He's not a good restarter. There's some guys that are great restarters. Traditionally, it was the Busch brothers and Kyle Larson, a handful of years ago. I haven't been looking at restart statistics lately, but
Christopher Bell at New Hampshire, amazing restarter. You look at the Xfinity race, I still don't know how he fucking pulled off that win. I don't, but that was masterful driving.
Sheldon Creed helped him there for sure by getting into whoever had the lead at the time. I forget who it was.
Cole Custer.
Yeah, Cole Custer.
Yeah, Custer definitely blew that race.
Custer didn't really blow it. Like, Creed just nailed him from behind and just shot him up the track, got underneath him. So that's where it came 3 wide. And then once they were 3 wide, Custer was like, I'm paying Creed back. He's not winning this race. So essentially Sheldon Creed handed the victory to Christopher Bell there.
But like even like the final 2 restarts of that race, like Custer should have got such a better jump than he did. Like I still fully blame.
But even then, he was still restarting. I don't blame that on Custer. I mean, you can't do anything about it if a guy just doesn't break into the corner and uses you as his brake. He didn't do. I don't think Custer did anything wrong there. Like the initial contact was because Sheldon Creed drove straight through Custer's ass.
Sheldon Creed once again gets a second place finish in the Xfinity Series. What is that, like 8 now?
10. That's tied the all-time record with Dale Jarrett for, I think it was Dale Jarrett, for number of second place finishes without a win or whatever it was. So, dude doesn't know how to close. He doesn't know how to close. And it's telling. It's every time. He makes some kind of contact and then hurts himself.
Yep.
Like we see it time and time again with Sheldon Creed. Yeah, I don't really have a whine about it. I guess, the whine about it would be, there was the guy on Twitter you were responding to about like,
oh my God,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
The guy on Twitter who was like whining about.
I was so baffled by this.
Yeah.
About what?
About exactly what you're about to talk about.
No, I want to make sure we're talking about the same one.
The guy who was just, you were like, well, I guess Nashville's got rain in the forecast, even though it's a week away.
Oh,
that guy.
I was talking about the Barry versus Busher guy. That's what
God. Then there was that guy. Yeah. That was even worse. But I just, people like get so pissy about rain and moving it up or not moving it up or giving NASCAR people notice or not. Weather is such a murky thing. Like NASCAR is just doing the best they can.
Especially that rain in New Hampshire this last weekend. So to fill people in that are on Twitter, there was a guy that was basically saying like, oh, the forecast is coming true. If NASCAR would have just pushed the race back to the start at noon or 1, they would have got it all in, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing though. Most of the time, yes, I agree with that. But the forecast wasn't like it's going to rain. The forecast was 50% chance of rain the morning and afternoon. Like these were pop-up showers. These were not like huge storm systems. These were pop-up showers, which is like typical. Like I'm thinking I live in the Midwest, so I'm used to this pop-up shower shit. And you never know, like it can say there's an 80, like just today, I live in Ohio. Just today, there was an 88% chance of rain and it rained. We were supposed to get like thunderstorms. We got like a sprinkle for about 5 minutes. That's all we got. And that's so typical of this portion of the country this time of year. So when NASCAR, like, they pushed the race up, 30 minutes or something. They moved it from like 2:30 to 2. Mm-hmm. That I thought it was, I did not understand that guy getting all pissy about it. But like you said, people are going to find a way to bitch about anything and everything. But yeah, that was just, you can't please anybody. You really can't.
No, you really can't. It's, I don't know. It's one of those things where like, dude, the forecast is all over the place. It's pop-up showers. It's, there are some windows and then there may not be a window. We just don't know. So you just kind of have to go with the flow and make the best decision you can.
Well, you even look at like once, so all the forecasts said like to counteract, I never even responded to this guy. I should have. To counteract that guy. So all the forecasts like that he was watching before the race started said that, by the time they got, 150 laps in or however long, another storm was going to hit and that was going to be it. Like it was green everywhere. It was going to rain everywhere.
Yeah.
And what happened? That's not what happened. It rained and then everything else missed them. And then they got the opportunity to finish the race. So that actually what actually happened, yes, the initial forecast was right, but the second half of the race forecast was wrong, which allowed them to actually finish the race, which was, counterpoint to I don't even remember who it was, but shout out to that guy.
Whoever it was on Twitter. Yeah.
Exactly.
But to your point, the Busher-Berry thing, oh my God.
Yes. The Busher-Berry thing. Like, and then Barry ends up outscoring him too. Like,
and was cheaper.
Okay.
Like,
yeah. So like, again, if you guys aren't paying attention on Twitter. So someone DM'd me before the race, and they said, would you rather go Chris Buescher or Josh Berry? Okay, I said Josh Berry. Like, between the two, I'm going Josh Berry. First half of the race, Josh Berry looks amazing. Looks like he can win the race. He falls back. The rain comes. It looks like it's going to stop the race. Josh Berry's like, I think he was like in 20th at that point. The guy DMs me and says, Buescher was the right pick. Basically like a fuck you. Yeah. And then as soon as he hits sends on that message, it immediately popped up, you cannot respond to this person because you're blocked or whatever. He immediately blocked me. And then, so I screenshotted it, I tweeted it out, and I'm like, imagine being this type of person. Not only because of just those actions, like those general, like, piss poor, like taking my fucking ball and going home actions. Mm-hmm. But one, Josh Berry ended up outscoring Buescher, which I'm not like, whatever. They were both in the big GPP lineup. They were both the right pick. But two, he unblocked me after the race and then liked my tweet about of his screenshot of like, oh my God. Like, I don't understand people. Like, I understand, like, I don't know. I guess maybe like in the past, or even now, like I get hot-headed on Twitter, but that type of childish behavior is just, it's amusing to me. But hey, whoever you are, I hope you had a good DFS day. I hope Josh Berry won you some fucking money in DFS. That's what I was saying, like last week.
I was saying like he probably ended up having a good DFS day and was complaining to you about it, even though he ended up having a good day. Like, weirdness.
It's They always chirp when you're wrong halfway through. That's the rule, right?
Exactly.
We asked for this though. I mean,
well,
remember that.
I don't know about ask for, but we definitely
open ourselves up to this.
We do
by doing what we do.
We do.
Yeah. So I can't complain too much. Like, call me out when I'm wrong. That's fine. But also, like, okay, call me out when I'm wrong, but give me the credit when I'm right. How about that? That's the new motto moving forward. Call me out when I'm wrong, but give me the fucking credit when I'm right. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
And Josh Berry was the right pick. So,
absolutely.
I'm sticking with that.
Absolutely.
Oh, shit. But, let's see here. 42 minutes in. Again, I'm doing timestamps here. Big news this week that Mr. Christopher Bell dropped last week. And that was official. Actually, it came out today that it was official at Sonoma. Chase Briscoe to the 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Mm-hmm. What do we think about that? Because I have a feeling that we are going to disagree.
I think we will disagree. But, I mean, for some reason, I shouldn't say for some reason, but I had that, like, back earlier before Heim to 2311 became a thing. I thought Briscoe could have been one that could or should have been looked at by 2311, and he'd be a good fit there. So I think he's going to be a good fit at Joe Gibbs Racing. I think he's going to win some races. I don't have much of an opinion beyond that.
So, I'll open up the question. One, do you think that he suddenly becomes a lame duck at Stewart-Haas?
Everybody's a lame duck at Stewart-Haas anyway, right?
Well, and that's the other part of this story is Gene Haas is keeping a charter to do his own thing next year. So that adds a wrinkle into the silly season because one of those charters that we thought was available is now not available anymore because Haas is keeping it.
Yeah.
And if you remember back to, when they were running, I think it was who ran the Haas car? Was it, I know Custer ran it for a while, but anyway, it was always like for a while there, it was a single team operation. They're basically going back to that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I just don't think Chase Briscoe's that good. And I don't think he's going to fit into Joe Gibbs Racing. I think this is a misstep by Joe Gibbs Racing. I'll say that. And I hope I'm wrong.
Chase Briscoe won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 races in one season in the Xfinity Series with Stewart-Haas Racing. 9 races in a season. And of course, the only reason he finished fourth in the standings that year is because he didn't have a good finish at Phoenix because, it's a championship race. But he won 9 races in a season in the Xfinity Series. I think he's pretty good.
I just feel like, and maybe maybe it's the equipment. Maybe once he gets in good equipment, we'll see it. But I just have not seen it from Chase Briscoe. Not to mention his over aggressiveness when he finally gets in position to win races. Mm-hmm. That's also going to be a thing because all of a sudden,
certainly,
you get in you're jumping into that 19 car. That's going to be a damn good car. You got a damn good crew chief and you got a damn good car. You're going to be in position to win races. You need to be able to handle being in that position to win races. I don't know, especially basically what I'm trying to say is for people that are super, it's kind of like NFL this season. Everybody's like the Houston Texans are going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Temper your expectations a little bit. Same exact thing with Chase Briscoe here. Temper your expectations if you have high expectations of Briscoe because I don't think the first season is going to be that great for him. I hope it does. Hopefully, yeah. I don't know. It's I feel like they could have went other ways, and I feel like maybe they could have went younger, and been in a better position. But
yeah,
overall, are you surprised by Truex retiring? Because I don't think anybody is.
No.
He's been in limbo for what, 5 years now?
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not surprised by him retiring. Not surprised by Chase Briscoe going there. I think it'll be, honestly, I legitimately think it'll be a good fit. I think Chase Briscoe is more talented than you do. And that's fine. There's absolutely room to disagree on that. I'm not saying I'm right or you're wrong.
It's one of those drivers that's we don't know.
We don't.
Once you get him in a good car, and now we're going to find out.
Who else was available? It's the other Stewart-Haas guys, and who else?
It's all young guys. Corey Heim, young guys like that.
Well, Kyle Busch, if that's not working out at RCR, go back. Or Eric Jones going back. There was some talks about those things, but if you're Joe Gibbs Racing, who do you?
I don't understand why you want to bring Eric Jones back.
There's not a perfect fit though for that seat. I don't think.
I would have brought Eric Jones back.
I would have. I would have too. Yeah, absolutely. But if you're looking from Joe Gibbs' perspective, there's not a great fit for that car right now in terms of this is a star that we need to get in the car.
Yeah, I would have tried to bring back Eric Jones, and then you talked about Kyle Busch. News broke today. Andy Petrie just retiring from his position which I think is a good. I think is a good move at RCR because I have never liked Andrew Petrie. And I know Keith Rodden that's replacing him, and he doesn't have a great track record as a crew chief. I think that's a good move for that organization.
Yes, I agree.
I do think that's going to end up being a positive for them. As much as people are talking shit, you can't get any worse.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably true. That's probably true right now. RCR is not good, but definitely a good move. I don't know if that retirement was fully his decision or not,
right?
Or whether he was kind of forced out. But that's one of those things. We'll see how RCR. Maybe the second half of the season they turn things around. Because that's another one. Does Kyle Busch get frustrated and does he fucking honestly as big of a hothead as Kyle Busch is? I think if this season continues as it is for him and he gets frustrated enough, he'll either one out or two, just retire. And then all of a sudden there's another opening. There's another car opening right there.
Yep.
That would not surprise me at all to see Kyle Busch just flat out say, I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, this whole silly season is
the wildest silly season we've had.
And we were told to be ready for it to be wild, and it's getting more and more wild. You know what I mean?
It is.
It really is. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to expect from anything at this point. We still don't know where the other 3 Stewart-Haas guys are going. We don't know if Haas, there is something about maybe Cole Custer comes up and runs that car. Because remember when it was Stewart and Haas and Cole Custer got booted out in favor of Preece, Stewart wanted Preece, but Haas wanted Custer. So, does Custer come back now that it's just Haas? So I don't know. And that's just that part. Like there's still so much other stuff that needs to be figured out as well.
Right. In my opinion, I think Custer runs that car.
I do too.
That's just my gut. That's my gut feeling. But a noteworthy thing with this Briscoe signing with Joe Gibbs Racing is Bass Pro is staying with the 19, which a lot of people were saying, if Bass Pro would go with Noah Gragson, that would open up the doors elsewhere. So that's not happening. So Gragson has already said he doesn't have a ride next year, and he's just hoping to race on Sundays. He showed a bunch of speed earlier this season. He's kind of fallen off.
He really has.
There's a decent chance that he just doesn't have a ride next year, and that would be certainly plausible because of how this is all happening.
Yeah. It's a crazy season, man. Or a silly season, I should say. It's
right.
Who knows what to make of it? Who knows?
And I think a lot of us, it's another one of those things that we're not quite talking about maybe enough, because we got so used to the silly season of NASCAR being, is who's going to take over the new Rick Ware 15 car. That was the silly season. It was never who's going to Joe Gibbs Racing, who's going to all these big name organizations. So we're getting a little spoiled this year, and it's just a major shift and changes, and I don't know. It makes it even more exciting for how this season is going, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is and then add in just for me, right? IndyCar, the silly season between both IndyCar and NASCAR this past few months and going into the next few months and off season, I think could be one of the most exciting times to be a North American motorsports fan. It's going to be bonkers. Just in terms of all the news that comes out. I mean, news just like you said, dropped today with Chase Briscoe. News has dropped with Andy Petrie. News has dropped with within the past week, Haas returning with one charter, the one that they haven't sold off to, what we presume is Front Row, 2311, and Trackhouse getting those other 3 charters. And Front Row has been announced, but the other 2 haven't yet. So who knows if anything shifts on those other 2 charters, right? We have no idea. That it's always a moving parts and pieces. Plus, TV deals and charter negotiations just with NASCAR, that kind of thing, the RTA, the Race Team Alliance. So still a lot of stuff out there that we just don't know about yet.
Yeah, and streaming platforms entering the conversation next year, and it's a lot of shifting going on in the NASCAR world, but definitely something to keep an eye on. Speaking of Trackhouse, that's a good segue into Nashville, because I know, and I tweeted this out earlier, so I'm just going to quote myself. A lot of people love 2311's paint schemes. Trackhouse Racing is undefeated in their paint schemes. These Busch Light schemes that they are coming out with specifically this year, especially the one for Nashville this week, is amazing. But we're on to Nashville, 4th race at this racetrack, concrete racetrack, 1.33 miles, same tire combination as Las Vegas, Kansas, and Texas this year. Obviously, we have the similarity of concrete with Dover, so we're gonna look at that. Kyle Larson, the favorite to win this race. We got Truex up there. We got Hamlin up there, according to sportsbooks. How do we start analyzing this in what's going to be a incredibly hot race? The last forecast I saw was going to be 105. on Sunday during this race. It's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot. Like
I feel bad for the fans in the stands because I think there's a rule that like you can't bring in your own water.
Right.
If I read right.
That's a rule they have to change. Like they just have to. I cannot believe they wouldn't. And then they said like the first 15,000 fans are going to get like a cooling towel or something. Fuck. Let them bring their own water in or something. Only the first 15,000? I don't even...
A cooling towel?
I don't remember what it exactly was, but it was something like that. Like, we'll give you a cooling towel or something. I don't know. 15,000 Nashville. I'm going to like Google or Twitter search it now. I can't find it. But I saw something about like the first 15,000 fans in attendance are going to get something, and it's supposed to help them stay cool or something. But like, what a joke. You can't bring in water, and it's going to be 100 billion degrees outside. Like that. But as far as being able to handicap this race, Nashville's a really unique track, right? Like, it's not a mile and a half. It's a mile and a third. It's a little less banked than our typical mile and a halves. So you can definitely pull in some intermediate from it, but like it's not a true mile and a half intermediate. It's a little less banked. It's concrete instead of asphalt. So you get that concrete deal where maybe you pull in a little bit of Dover. It's just a really unique track. And we've only had 3 races run on it, obviously 2 in the next gen car. So then it becomes, well, do you handicap it based off all 3? Do you handicap it just from the next gen? We have, and as I saw you tweet about, tires is going to be the same as, was it Vegas, Kansas, and Texas? So at least we have that to kind of go off. So I think the way to handicap it is probably use those 3 races from tires, and then also just use Dover because it's a concrete track and it's a little bit shorter. So you kind of average all of that out, and it kind of averages out to a Nashville. It's still, all of those are higher banked than Nashville. So maybe you pull in something like a Gateway, which was in the intermediate package instead of the short track package. And that really averages it all out. I don't know.
Yeah. And then you have the aspect of, and what kind of throws a wrench into analyzing this is, like someone like a Ross Chastain, who's been mediocre all season, has been amazing at Nashville, these first 3 races. First race, he finished second, finished 5th in 2022, and then he won last year from the pole, leading 99 laps. Yeah. Whereas, he's only been decent on, these other tracks, similar tracks. But the only people with only Chastain and Larson have finished top 5 in all 3 Nashville races. Chase Elliott's finished top 5 in 2 of them. Nobody else has more than 1, and that's kind of what adds to this, kind of harder predictability of Nashville, is because we've seen a lot of different people finish up front, and it's just, I was looking at, I was working on my 36 for 36 pick earlier today, and this is one of those races I don't know what to do. Not to jump ahead to that, but I don't know what to do yet with that, because there's so many ways you can go here. You can go, with the top guys that are going to be good. And I think the top guys are definitely the favorites to win this race, but I do think there's an opportunity and there's openings for some of these mid-tier guys to get into the top 10, which, is something that we, playing that 36 for 36, have to take into account. But like you said, we go back to Dover. Denny Hamlin won that race. Daniel Hemrick finished top 10 that race, which, honestly, I'm looking at Daniel Hemrick 40-1 for a top 10. I don't mind betting that this week. As much as I hate Daniel Hemrick, because you look at you look at, once again, not only Dover, but the similar tracks, quote unquote similar tracks to Nashville, basically where we're running these the same tire package.
Yep.
It's where Hemrick has been the best this year.
Yeah.
So the 40-1 for a top 10, I don't mind throwing $5-10 on that. Why not? Because he qualifies well. He could definitely, do the same thing at Dover or at Nashville as he did at Dover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. I like that. I haven't run anything yet, full disclosure. just that with the Euros and stuff, not the time of year where once the Euros are over, especially once we get through the group stage and there's fewer games per day, I will be like next week, I think, or at worst 2 weeks from now. I'll be back to having all my stuff run by the time we do this podcast. But I haven't made any bets yet, but I agree with you. I think just based off that, without having run a model, I could get behind that on a top 10 bet on Daniel Hemrick.
Yeah, and that was just me, like, straight up just looking. Like, literally, I clicked Daniel Hemrick and was looking at his season. I'm like, I could get behind that. Like, that's all the research I did into it. By the way, speaking of your soccer bets, please stop recommending your 42-1 exact score bets, because I hate hitting those. Speaking of stupid
Speaking
Twitter
of
guys,
whine about it,
holy
yeah.
shit. Jesus.
How can you get excited about picking 7 bets and hitting 1? Because it was 42-1.
Yeah, like, it's the same people that bitch about us NASCAR bettors for having a winning record of like 20%, and they're not. They don't realize how good it is. It's frustrating, but it is what it is. But going back to Dover, like I said, Denny Hamlin won that race. Kyle Larson finished second. Martin Truex Jr. third. Kyle Busch finished fourth in that race. Chase Elliott rounded out the top 5. Gregson was 6th. Daniel Hemrick was 9th. Ty Gibbs rounded out the top 10. By the way, I love Ty Gibbs this week for a top 10 plus 130. Already locked that bet in. That's
why. I'm just curious why, because like I said, I haven't looked at anything. I'm not saying that's a bad bet at all. I'm just curious what your reason is, only because I haven't looked.
Yeah. So, like I said, similar tires. Going back to Vegas, top 5 car easily. Finished 10th at Dover.
Mm-hmm.
Great. He had decent speed at Kansas. Wrecked out, finished 32nd. And then at Texas, he had one of the best cars at Texas. Remember, he had a loose tire early in that race. Rebounded and finished 13th. So finished 14th here, I believe, at Nashville last season. So getting plus odds for a top 10 finish out of Ty Gibbs, I really like this weekend. That's definitely my favorite bet heading into this early week.
What do you think about 14-1 top 10 on Ricky Stenhouse Jr.?
So I don't want to get to 36 for 36, but he's probably going to be my 36 for 36.
Well, see, I always like to save him for Bristol, so that's what I'm thinking about. But
that's what I think about Stenhouse. That's what I think about Stenhouse.
You know, those 3 tracks with the same tires. He was a top 5 car at Texas. He got screwed, but he was a top 5 car at Texas. He was a top half car at Kansas and Vegas. At least he finished in the top half. And in terms of flags, he was a little bit slower at Vegas. He was about top half in Kansas. Dover's always been a good track for him. And then, of course, Nashville, the first season, he finished 6th. Second season, he finished 16th. Last year, finished 22nd. Definitely didn't have as good a car. So a little bit hit or miss for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. at Nashville. But, if we include all 3 Nashville races, his track quality rating among the active drivers would be 3rd, behind only Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin, if we include all 3 races. Now, if we just do the next gen, it drops. But if we include all 3 Nashville races, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 3rd in track quality. So 14-1 for a top 10.
Yeah.
I haven't run a model. I think I'm betting that. Like I said,
you completely just took the thoughts out of my brain, because, like I said, I spent earlier today looking at 36, and Stenhouse is probably going to be my pick.
Yeah.
But you look at his best finishes this year. Got Talladega at 4th. He finished 5th at Iowa, 6th at Atlanta. So you got 2 of those are super speedways. 7th at New Hampshire, which ended in the rain. Okay. Mm-hmm. So those are his top 4. You go after that, you got Kansas, same tire combination, 16th.
Vegas.
17th at Vegas, same tire combination. And then we mentioned how good he was at Texas. You look at his track record here at Nashville, he has a top 10 here. He finished 16th in 2022. And that team's just suddenly clicking off good finishes.
May I remind you?
I'm right there.
May I remind you, at Dover, yeah, he crashed out, but he finished top 10 in both stages.
Yep. He had a great car at Dover this year. So that was the cherry on top of I'm probably picking Stenhouse in 36 for 36 this weekend.
I'm locking him in 14-1 for a top 10 right now at FanDuel.
Do it. Yep. I'm going to do it with you. I'm going to do it with you. How about that?
Just get this here. Yeah, 14-1. I'm not crazy. There we go. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 14-1, top 10.
You know, and especially, like I said, that team, they're just like, I wouldn't say they're lucking into good finishes, but they're getting good finishes. They're getting better finishes than they deserve right now, which you also kind of have to take into. They're one of those teams that is willing to risk it all for a good finish. So 7th at New Hampshire this weekend, 5th at Iowa, 24th at Sonoma, which is good for them, 20th at Gateway. They're on an upswing right now, and yeah, I'm right there with you. 14-1, top 10. Give me that. Give me Stenhouse top 10.
Absolutely. That's no way that can't be value. I mean, and when you compare around the industry, 14-1 at FanDuel, but he's
16-1 at 365.
Oh, 16-1 at Bet365. Okay. 5-1 at BetMGM, 4-1 at Caesars, 8.5 at the Canby books. So 14 and 16 are, sore thumb outliers.
Just doing a quick check if he's longer anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. For some reason, Action isn't pulling in the 365 odds. That's why I didn't see that. But I'll make sure to notify the team tomorrow if it's still not pulled in. But and then I haven't checked ESPN Bet either now that I think about it, because for some reason that's not pulling in either. But I'll make sure to notify the Action Network team. Looks like ESPN doesn't have positional finishes yet. That's why. So
yeah, they usually wait a little bit.
What about 500-1 outright?
I mean, I could sprinkle a couple dollars on it.
I like them 150 live at Texas outright. Like, if he's a top 5 car, then 500-1 is stupid.
Do we think Nashville is different enough from Texas, though? Texas was I would almost throw Texas into it's almost like a super speedway type of mile and a half. Whereas Nashville, I feel like, isn't like that.
What do you mean by that, like, for Texas? Because Texas has, like, the low banking set of corners there. And it was like one groove racing.
I feel like track position at Texas, if you get up there at Texas and you can maintain it, you can race your way to a win a lot easier than you can at a track like Nashville. Like, if there's 10 laps to go and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and everybody's on the same tires, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. somehow has the lead, I don't think he wins that race. Whereas at Texas, I think there'd be a good chance that he wins that race.
Yeah, because it was so track position at Texas. And I shouldn't say low banking, but it was like 24 degrees in one set of turns at Texas and 20 degrees in the other set of turns at Texas. But so you're saying the difference. You're saying track position mattered more at Texas.
Track position and yeah.
But Stenhouse still had a top 5 car at Texas. Like, if you have a top 5 car, 500-1's stupid. I don't care what track it is.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I might sprinkle Ricky Stenhouse outright, 500-1,
and
or check the other books that I currently can't pull in through the Action stuff. But maybe there's 1,000-1 out there. I don't know.
Yeah, so Stenhouse on Fanatics is 400-1 right now.
Yeah, he's 500 at FanDuel. He's 500 at the Canby books. He's 500 at Caesars, and 400 at DraftKings, 250 at MGM. yeah. ESPN's he's 500. Bet 365, probably 500, I would guess, but I don't have that up yet. To win outright, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., yeah, 500.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. But that brings me to another driver who I think is maybe getting a little slept on this week. Denny Hamlin is second in track quality in just the next gen era, and second to Ross Chastain, even if we include 2021 as well. So it's Chastain and Denny. And I know a lot of people have been talking about Ross. It's not often these days we see Ross under 10-1 or at 10-1. So certainly he's getting attention, but I think people are sleeping on Denny Hamlin. Who's led the most laps at Nashville in the next gen car? It's Denny Hamlin.
Did you see my tweet earlier today or yesterday?
I did not.
Yeah, so odds dropped, and people were hitting Ty Gibbs and a couple other guys, and I was like, call me crazy, but so my exact tweet, call me crazy, but I don't hate Hamlin plus 700.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. I haven't run a model, I haven't bet anything, but
yep.
I do kind of like that. I think 6-1 is the longest he is now, so unfortunately I missed out on the 7. Unless, again, one of those books has a 7 that I'm not seeing. But yeah, Denny Hamlin definitely catches my eye here. Led the most laps at Dover, led the most laps at Kansas, 2 of the kind of comp tracks we're talking about. So do like it. I definitely do like it.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since we talked about Denny Hamlin, being a true contender, and I think this is it's one of those weeks that's shaping up to where at the end of the day on Sunday we're like, where did he come from? And then Denny Hamlin wins the race. So if I could go back, I would definitely hit Hamlin at 7-1, but you can get him at 6-1 now. Still don't hate that, but a little bit more at 7. But
for sure, I agree with you there. And we'll see what my model says when I run it. Should be tomorrow after the Euros, and obviously definitely before I record Running Hot. But I'm very interested in Denny Hamlin this week, even if it's not to win, some other kind of bet. Another driver I'm very interested in, and I have seen some talk about him on Twitter, but I was very interested. I don't think I'm necessarily as interested now that he's shortened, but Tyler Reddick, I'm super interested in because of the history of 2311 here. Kurt Busch, if you remember, finished second in 2022. And last year, Reddick won stage 1 before running into problems. I think he got stuck on pit road for a couple laps or something. So very high on Tyler Reddick this week as well.
Which that's just blood is pouring out of my ears. Anytime you're high on Christopher Bell or Tyler Reddick, they're both my
I know.
catalyst. But
remember Vegas. Remember let's see, what other tracks have we talked about? Vegas, yeah, he was catching Kyle Larson right there at the end. Texas finished 4th. Dover and Kansas obviously didn't finish as well, but
that's a good point about Vegas.
Ran well at Dover, finished 3rd and 7th in the stages, and then at Kansas, he probably had a really good car at Kansas, I would guess. Now, for some reason, they struggled at Kansas. But most of the comp tracks, Tyler Reddick has been a top 5, borderline top 5, if not top 2 or 3 car.
Mm-hmm. A couple other guys a couple other situations I'm keeping my eye on this weekend. One, Austin Dillon. 3 races here. He's finished 13th, 14th, and 12th. Obviously, the way that team's running right now, we don't expect him to finish that high. But in the 3 races that they've ran here, he started 26th, 20th, and 28th, which is about probably where he's going to qualify this weekend. So someone to keep an eye on there, lower tier. Same with Trackhouse overall. Chastain won last year. Suarez has been really good here, 12th, 15th, and 7th in the 3 races. Trackhouse overall, very good here. But right now, I feel like, a good race out of Chastain is about a 9th place finish. a bad race out of Chastain's, but a 13th place finish. That's like where he's finishing right now. Whereas, Suarez is the complete opposite wide spectrum. Bad race out of Suarez, he's finishing 35th. A good race out of him, he's finishing 8th. And then Colleague, I'm really interested to see how Colleague does this week. Allmendinger's in that 16 car this weekend. Yeah. He's finished 10th and 19th in the last 2 races here. And if you look at the last 2 races with this 31 car, when Haley was in that, Daniel or Haley, they've always had more speed here and at similar tracks than they have at other places. So again, it goes into my Daniel Hemrick 40-1 top 10 bet. That's why I like it a little bit more than normal.
Absolutely. And we were talking drivers we were talking my track quality metric, just looking at the next gen era. AJ Allmendinger of active drivers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. If we take the 2 next gen races at Nashville, he's 5th in my track quality. And if we take all 3, he's also 5th. Stenhouse leaps ahead of him, but then he leaps ahead of it's Truex. Yeah, he leaps ahead of Truex, who had a bad 2021 race comparatively. So I'm right there with you. That does make me like that Daniel Hemrick. I wish I had him available in 36 for 36 in the 31 car, but I picked him for the Daytona 500 actually. So I haven't had Daniel Hemrick
still have him all year.
So
I can still take him. Oh God, that is terrifying. Taking Daniel Hemrick.
Yeah, it sure is
36, but
sure is.
Another guy to keep an eye on this weekend. Talking about long shots, Eric Jones. 3 races at Nashville. He finished 19th in the first race, 11th, and then 8th last year. So
right behind Allmendinger in my track quality metric.
So there's definitely an opportunity, I think, for some of the I don't want to say mid-tier or longer shots, but that's kind of what they are on them doing well. So opens up opportunity to get some value there betting wise on them. What do we think about a guy like Noah Gragson, who was very good at Dover, ended up finishing 6th? And like I said earlier this episode, he's kind of fallen off the face of the earth. We haven't really talked about Gragson, but earlier in the season, he was really fast. He had a bunch of speed, and we're now getting, like Nashville, we're getting back to the tracks of where we were earlier in the season, which is another aspect of analyzing this week. You can't go off of, the recency of New Hampshire, Iowa, all those, because it's not the same type of track. We have to go back to these Vegases and, going back to March and February speeds. And if those speeds maintain, I think Gragson can be definitely a very good pick this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, 6th at Vegas. Like he had a top 10 car there, and then the driver that first completed the 69 challenge this year at Dover and Kansas, back-to-back races, 6th and 9th. So great set of tracks here for him in terms of comparable tracks. The only drawback, he hasn't been great at Nashville itself when we look at the Xfinity series or even in Cup last year. Now, last year was just a total stinker of a year from overall. But if we look at his driver quality from that race, it was minus 5.8%, with 0 being an average track. So he hasn't had a ton of success at Nashville itself.
Yeah. So someone to keep an eye on, though, for sure. But like I said, Larson the favorite, 5-1 at some books. Like I said, one of 2 drivers to finish top 5 in every single race at Nashville that's been ran. He won the inaugural race here, led 264 laps in that race. Has not led a lap since at Nashville, but he's finished 4th and 5th. Definitely should be a contender. We talked about Denny Hamlin. Obviously, Christopher Bell's up there 8-1, as is Chastain's at 9-1. Truex at 10-1 is, I kind of like that. I'm almost to the point where I'm going to bet Truex until he fucking wins, because that team, they have so much speed this season. And I saw a tweet from my fantasy race talking about Truex and how good he's actually been at Nashville. He doesn't really have the results to prove it, but he did lead. He won both stages here back in 2022. He finished 22nd, finished second last season after leading 50 laps. I can get behind betting him 10-1. You look at some of the other books, like DraftKings, BetMGM, they have him at 7. FanDuel has him at 10. If I had to make an early week bet, give me Truex at 10. If I'm not going a little bit shorter, I still like Hamlin though. But yeah, give me Truex at 10.
Look who's led double-digit laps at Nashville in the next gen car: Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. Right, we already got a couple repeats there in Hamlin and Truex. Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Busch. So we got Kyle Busch twice, we got Truex twice, we got Denny Hamlin twice, and we have Ross only once, but Ross the other race as well finished top 5 as you mentioned. So got some drivers here. Truex is one of those. 132 laps led here. Only Denny Hamlin in the next gen car. Only Denny Hamlin has led more in the next gen car with 195 laps led. Then Ross Chastain at 99, and then Kyle Busch at 66, and then Chase Elliott at 42, and Tyler Reddick at 33. So, if you're looking for drivers to lead, that's basically the guys who have led at Nashville. That's it right now, as far as the next gen car. Now, if we think Kyle Busch is falling off, that could open up the door a little bit more for these guys we already named, but maybe a little bit more of a Chase Elliott or a Tyler Reddick or somebody else a little bit further down the list here. But you got to think Denny, Ross, Truex certainly are among the favorites just based off how they've performed here.
Yeah. And like I said, I am very interested to see what and how Ross Chastain and that one team come out this weekend, because we go back to I picked him in 36 for 36 at Dover, expecting Ross has been great at Dover, at least a top 10, and kind of shit the bed. I feel like every single week we're looking at Ross Chastain and you're like, he did all right. We have yet to see where Ross Chastain is actually challenging for a win. They're not doing awful. Like I said, they've been, outside of Chase Elliott, they've been the most consistent team in NASCAR, but they don't have the upside. And that's kind of concerning on a race like this, where they've been so good at Nashville. And it's how do I interpret this? How do I analyze this? Because they haven't had that upside this year, but they've been so good at Nashville.
Yeah.
And, are they going to unload and have that same speed? It's hard to tell. And for someone like a Trackhouse and for me personally, I'm sitting there thinking they're probably not going to have the speed. They'll probably be maybe a fringe top 5 car, because of their track history here, but it's not one of those where I'm they've been so good here in the past that like Truex last weekend. I was all in on Truex. Truex has had the best car here every single time in the next gen car. I don't have that same feeling this weekend with Chastain.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I've seen. Go ahead.
Kyle Busch is another one that I'm keeping an eye on this weekend, because he's finished in the top 10 or top 9 actually in 5 of the 6 stages at Nashville.
Yep.
Finished 11th in the first year, 9th last year. Obviously needs a good run and
72 fastest laps at Nashville in the 2 next gen races.
Yeah, which is noteworthy to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, the only drivers that top that are, again, Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. Not even Ross Chastain tops that. So
that's surprising. So yeah, it's an interesting race this weekend, and I don't know. I don't want to call it unpredictable because I feel like it's relatively predictable, but there's also an unknown factor to it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I do know what you mean. I've seen Alex Bowman floated around a little bit on the Twitter spheres and the Discord spheres and stuff like that. Only has one race here in the next gen era, and finished 17th, but he ran a lot better. He had 16 fastest laps, 9 laps led. So, certainly somebody to keep an eye on there, maybe from a little bit more of a mid-long tier type driver, maybe a top 10 bet. I shouldn't say long tier, but, a mid-tier driver, kind of a top 10 type bet there. But I will say that for as good as those stats were, he still only put up a 70.4 driver rating. And then in 2021, only put up a 76.3 driver rating. So not amazing. A lot, like it seems like a lot of it came from his speed came from strategy or laps led, all that type of stuff came from strategy rather than being purely a fast car. So there is that with Alex Bowman as well. So that's why I haven't been super high on him or anything.
Yeah, that's if you noticed when you said Bowman, I immediately shook my head. I'm not there on Bowman, but he's one of those drivers he gets it. Is he still leading the top 10 this year in the
in
Cup
top
Series?
10 finishes?
Yeah.
I don't think he is because he did not get a top 10.
Bell has 11.
Week. Yeah,
Bell has 11, as does Reddick. So
yeah,
they're there at the 11, and then Byron and Bowman have 10. So,
and
but he's
Chase
up there.
Elliott,
He's one of those.
Chase Elliott still with his top 20 streak going.
Man, if we could bet and just roll over every week, Chase Elliott top 20, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Until he doesn't finish top 20.
A couple other guys that are in the field this weekend. Corey Heim is driving a third 2311 car this weekend. He's at plus 270 for a top 10, which he's as low as plus 125 at some books for that. Surprised by that? Think that's accurate, or
surprised in which way? Like too short, too long? What?
Too short.
I mean, it's a 2311 car.
All right.
We just talked about how good they've been overall, and Corey Heim in his only race at Nashville, I should say only race he finished at Nashville, he led the most laps in 2023 in the Truck Series. In 2022 in the Truck Series, he qualified 4th, finished 3rd in Stage 1, 3rd in Stage 2, but ultimately crashed out. So, not a monster sample size, plus it's the Truck Series to work with here, but some encouraging signs and obviously a great car. I mean, he finished 25th and 22nd in a Legacy Motor Club car.
That's what I was pulling up. I was trying to remember what car he drove earlier this
year.
At 2
relatively comparable tracks, Dover and Kansas. So, I'm very interested to see how he'll do this weekend. It's tough to bet his upside, but something like a top 10 finish may not be out of the question.
Yeah, I don't think it's out of the question, but I'm not betting it at plus 270.
No, same. We've seen the learning curve in these cars,
Yeah. I would much rather have a Stenhouse at 14
to 1, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Compared to, and even in that same range, give me Josh Berry at plus 270.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Also, Chad Fincham is driving that 66 car this weekend.
Woo!
You know what cracks me up about that is that sportsbooks have priced Daniel Hemrick in the same range as Chad Fincham,
which is the dumbest thing ever
for top 10 finishes and wins. It's cracks me up. Absolutely cracks me up.
Yeah. Oh. Don't bet on Chad Fincham.
Please don't. But you have anything else for Nashville, or you want to get to our picks?
Let's get to the picks, man. Let's get to the picks.
Yeah. So last week, you want to start with 36 for 36 or picks to win?
Let's do picks to win, man. Didn't I take Joey Logano to win?
Nope.
No,
you took
that was the
fucking
week
Bell.
before. That was week before.
I gave you Bell.
Yeah.
I gave you Bell last weekend. You fucker. And I had Truex.
Hey, I got lucky. I got lucky. I know you had the better car. I live bet Truex. You did it too. Like, I only had one outright all week, and then I bet Tyler Reddick night before at 30-1, and then I bet Truex live. And those were the only bets I made on outrights. Was that Byron 20-1, which I thought was stupid, and then the Reddick 30-1 again. Well, I liked that price a lot, and then Truex live, and Truex had the car to beat. He was, until all hell broke loose, he was at certain points the live betting favorite, even to where he was even money at some books to win. So sucks. So but yeah, we
picks to win. You
had varying degrees of success. You had Truex finish 9th. I had Bell who won.
I need to not live bet guys that I pick on picks to win. That's exactly. For damn sure. But you got your third win of the season in picks to win. I'm still stuck at 1. Average finishes now, you have 9.61. I'm at 11.67. It's your turn to go first. So who is your pick to win Nashville this weekend?
Well, you were Mr. Nice Guy last week and gave me Bell, so I could be Mr. Nice Guy this week and give you Denny Hamlin. But I'm going to take Denny Hamlin.
Oh, you motherfucker. Fuck you. I respect that. It's all good.
Hey, you could still go with it. We had one race where we picked the same guy in all of picks to win history.
You know what's funny? So, like, I've been talking about Denny Hamlin all week. That's who I'm kind of on. I want to go Truex again. I was not expecting you to say Hamlin. I was expecting you to say Larson, which it would be a very easy pick for me to take right here. I want to go Truex again, though. I think, like, that team, they just have so much speed. Just one race where they don't just make some fucking mistake, they're going to just win. We're in such need of a Truex dominating effort. We haven't seen one in a while. I'm going Truex. I'm going Truex for the second week in a row. Give me Martin Truex Jr. I'm going Truex. But I would my second pick would be Larson. But I'm going Truex. I might, honestly, just keep picking Truex every single week until he wins. Or until he retires.
That's not a bad strategy.
Because looking at, so you look back at, since Darlington, I picked Truex 4 times now. Oh man. But yeah, all right. You got Hamlin. I got Truex for picks to win. 36 for 36 is where this is going to get very fucking interesting.
It is. Because I have no idea what to do.
Because you're going first, and like I said, I honestly spent it wasn't an hour, but it was probably about 30 minutes that I was going through, and I was marking like where I want to pick certain drivers, where it makes the most sense for certain guys, because we're getting down to, we're in the second half of the season now. We really have to pay attention to this. Yeah. So you go first this weekend. I'm curious to hear your thoughts here.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is a super tough one. And you'll notice I added a few columns to our sheet. I added the owner points of the car, and then divide by 18. That's the points per race. And then what I have is your columns plus minus and my columns plus minus, right? So you'll see for the number 1 car, Ross Chastain, you scored 25 points, but he's averaging 28.3 points per race. So you get a minus 3.3 on that. So if you sum all those up all the way down at the bottom, I'm actually doing better than you. So even though you're ahead by 25 points. I'm ahead in plus minus relative to each driver's average. So that shows you've picked better drivers than me, and you're actually, in a way, trailing.
That is fascinating as shit, but it also makes sense because, like, when I was looking at like our drivers remaining, I was like, yeah, I have a 25-point lead, but I don't have a 25-point lead on who we have remaining. So that is fascinating to look at.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I will say that. So I technically think I have the lead, even though
I think you do too. I honestly do.
Even though I'm trailing by 25 points, and I'm trailing by I think it's 40 points in same drivers. So that's always funny, right? Like, it's the non-same drivers where I've been having a lot better results than you. And they've been coming in way over their average. Like Christopher Bell last week, 57 points. You haven't used him yet, but I have. And I got Bell 26.2 points over his average.
Yep.
So that's huge, right? If you can get one of the top drivers and you can get him 26 points above his average, that's a monster week there. I've had 2 weeks of drivers getting 57 points. Keselowski at Darlington and Bell at New Hampshire. And your peak performance has been 49 with Joey Logano, which, again, is massive for Richmond. Put you, let's see, with the 22 car, 25 points above his average there. So that's huge. But
you look at since Darlington, you've outscored me by 52 points over the last 6 races.
Yeah,
which is huge.
But like,
and that's including me having Buescher at Sonoma and you having Cindric and me outscoring you by 29.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and then you look at Keselowski for me. I mean, I scored 28.8 points above his average. So just between Bell and Keselowski, I'm at 55 points above their average, just with 2 drivers. So you got a little work to do, but I think you can definitely do it, especially the way you're planning out what drivers to take where. So speaking of that, I have not been planning out what drivers to take where. This is a really tough one. I do have Stenhouse available. You do as well. I do like saving
Chastain available.
I do like saving Stenhouse for Bristol as a potential. I do have Ross Chastain available. I do have AJ Allmendinger available, who's been really good here. I do not have Daniel Hemrick available. So honestly, I think it's got to come down to Chastain, Stenhouse, and then like maybe I could throw in a Truex since he's been so good here. Maybe I could throw in a Kyle Busch since he's been so good here. But where am I trusting Kyle Busch these days? Yeah.
Right now, absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't know where to trust Kyle Busch. But that's the thing. I have to pick him somewhere. So do I pick him here? Is there another better track for him? Probably. Is there another better track for Ross Chastain? Probably. Right? So it's tough. Like, I could always save Chastain for Phoenix, but I don't think he's going to make the championship round. Like, part of me wanted to hold on to him until Phoenix in case, but I don't think he's making Phoenix this year as far as a championship contender. I don't know what to do, man. I kind of have Eric Jones penciled in for Darlington, but I could always use Ross there. I could use a Larson there. This is tough. This is very tough. I also Kyle Busch is good at Pocono and Indy, so I could use him at one of those. So I'm going to go Ross Chastain this week at Nashville.
That's a solid pick.
I think that's the safest play for me at this point.
Yep.
So Ross Chastain.
Hopefully he doesn't disappoint you like he did me at Dover.
Oh God, yeah.
Because like I got 25 points out of him at Dover, but I was expecting much more than that.
Certainly. Well, so, and that's the thing. Like, Dover is one of the comp tracks, so now I'm nervous.
Yeah. I guess it's one of those question marks. We don't know what to expect out of Chastain this weekend. It's going to be interesting. But if I was in your position, yeah, that'd be my pick. I would go Chastain this weekend.
I will say for the 41 and the 10, I added 35 points because they both had 35-point deductions. So their points may not match up with their owner's points only because I put 35 points back onto them. That's what they would have without
that
a
makes
penalty.
sense. Yep. I said earlier this week, I was kind of planning ahead. I think I'm going to go Stenhouse. I could go Suarez here. Just thinking, maybe he unloads with the same type of setup and same upside that he's had here at Nashville, because Chastain's been good here. Hoping Suarez does, but that team is so hit or miss here. It's just like Kyle Busch with you. You can't trust him right now.
Yeah.
But when I was planning out the rest of the season and the super speedways, obviously, ideally, I'd probably want to use Stenhouse at a super speedway, but I still have Zane Smith to use, which I can't fathom using anywhere right now.
He's dead last in the owner points.
Yeah, I still have John Hunter Nemechek to use this season, which I can't fathom using anywhere right now. And then Austin Dillon, the way they're running right now, yes, I could use him at Nashville this weekend, but they're running like absolute shit too. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to use him at a super speedway. And then you got Hemrick. So it's probably between Hemrick and Austin Dillon on who I'm using the last three super speedway races. Hemrick, I don't mind the upside this weekend at Nashville, but I'm probably gonna save him for a super speedway race where it's luck of the draw.
Yeah.
I could go big name here, but I think I'm gonna go Stenhouse, and I'm not happy about this. I'm not confident about this. I'm hoping I luck into a top 10 finish that he's got the last 2 weeks, but I'm going to go Stenhouse at Nashville, and I'm going to hope for the fucking best.
Yes.
I will note, though, I was looking ahead, and I assumed that both of us was going to take the 16 at Chicago next weekend because SVG's in that car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to do that. Just a week before, I think I might save the 16 for when Allmendinger's in that car at Watkins Glen.
Yep.
And I think I might run the 50, or the Roval and run the 54 at Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Pre next week's episode, but yeah, I'm going Stenhouse and Nashville, and this might be this is probably going to be the week that Nick takes the lead in this.
We'll see. I'm rooting for Stenhouse to get top 10 since I bet it.
Well, yeah, but it's not a comfortable thing. Like last week, we were both very comfortable. I had Truex, you had Bell.
Yeah,
we were both very comfortable. This week, it's like, oh, even Iowa, we were relatively, not comfortable, but there was upside there of Todd Gilliland. We're gonna get what we get from Todd Gilliland.
Yeah,
but. Man, yeah. So Nashville, I have Stenhouse, you have Chastain. Definitely think you have the bigger upside there. And Stenhouse, please just give me a decent finish. Give me like a 15th place finish. I'll be happy.
I legitimately might bet him 500 to 1 to win.
Please do. Because your bets to win, like your long shots, are almost there, and then they finish top 5. So if I get a top 5 finish out of Stenhouse in 36 for 36, I'll be so happy.
You're just not allowed to bet Stenhouse to win then, because that's the Jordan Jinx then or something.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Right, I'm betting Ricky Stenhouse 500 to 1 to win.
Fuck yes. Hell yeah.
I'm doing it. I'm literally tracking it in the Action app right now. Just put the bet in. And I'm going to track it. I haven't tracked the top 10 yet, but I'll do that right after the show ends. But I need to track this 500 to 1 on Stenhouse right now. How much should I put on it? 0.1 to win 50 units.
Yes.
In.
Yes. That would be the ultimate, like, your season's been bad luck shit, and then you hit that. You hit Stenhouse 50 plus 50 units.
I'm even gonna stacking Dennys in the hashtag thing. The note or whatever, the pick note. Track pick. Done. Pick is tracked. Bet is in at Caesars. 500 to 1.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go Stenhouse. Big Stenhouse fan this weekend.
Alrighty. Well, that's all I got. Ending it
Absolutely.
with a 500 to 1 bet. What could go wrong?
Oh yeah.
I'll hit it and somebody will get really mad that I hit it. Because that's what people do.
But Nashville Super Speedway this weekend. If you're there, please stay hydrated. By the way, I looked up the news article on what they'll be offering fans. Free cooling towels to the first 15,000 fans attending, and then they're going to have 3 misting fans on the second level concourse. 3 of them. Three fans spreading mist.
Wow.
Come on. And there's a few more things on here, but that caught my eye. Of 3 fans.
3.
But hey, if you guys are going to the race this weekend, stay cool, stay alive. That's not extremely fun stuff to be in, that kind of heat. But hopefully we get another good race.
My other whine about it should be Nashville calling itself a super speedway.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that. Every time I'm updating everything, Nashville Super Speedway, it pisses me off every single time.
Yeah.
Right there with you. Yeah. But next week we got the Chicago Street Course, then we got your favorite Pocono, and then Indy before we get 2 weeks off for the Olympics. So
yeah,
nice little stretch of races here. See what happens. But it all kicks off this weekend. Nashville Super Speedway, not really Super Speedway, it's 1.3 mile track. But hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's not boring. Hopefully we get another surprise winner. How about that? I'd love that.
Dude, if Ricky Stenhouse Jr. wins, that'd be the sickest.
That would be amazing. That would be fucking amazing. All right. But good luck to everybody. Thank you for listening. And we will be back next week to talk about Chicago. See you guys.